קודם כל, Chanukah, everyone, and shkoyach for coming. It's a great time, that we sort of like whenever it is that you get off your Seder, which is very difficult. It's very difficult to hold on to, to what you're doing, to your kriyas. It's very important. It's a very great thing. It's as I said, it's a big thing. It's a very big thing to keep one's equilibrium when the Seder gets disrupted. First of all, it's a big mila and not an easy thing to set a Seder. And then once you set a Seder, you sort of lean on it and it carries you along. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, as it were. At all time, you already have a certain Seder, you get used to it emotionally and whatever. And then when there's a change to the schedule, it's very easy, to lose the thread. And then, as they says, if you leave me for one day, if you stop learning Torah for one day, I will leave you for 2 days. Well, it took you a while to set down your routine. So it's a very big thing. Besides the fact that tonight, of course, is the first night of Hanukkah. We're able to light up the first candle, which is tremendous. And let's dive into the Maaseh that we are learning, and let Hashem see what it is that Hashem will show us. Second. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. So once upon a time, there were 2 very wealthy homeowners in a single city, with big houses. They had 2 sons. Each one of them had a son who learned together in the same school. These sons, one was intelligent, and the other was simple. This is not that he was stupid, rather that his intellect was simple and plain. These 2 sons love each other very much, even though one was clever, the other one was simple. A simple mind, they still loved each other very much. We spoke about this Nikuda, and we elaborated on the fact that when there is a house, when there are, the wealthy home owners that own, big houses, which represents the Chokhmah, represents the Emunah, the house is the Emunah, we spoke about it at length, then the intelligence and the simplicity, not only that coexist, but they have a great affection for one another, because the most intelligent of them all needs simplicity and straightforwardness without any chokhmas. Because with the chokhmah you can foul up any situation. There's no, it's like this world, when you look outside, has been and is fouled up by very, very intelligent people that drive everybody bananas. They have new ideas every single day and have new philosophies that not only that, now there's a new paradigm that everybody has to accept or else, but they want to, revisit and revise and cancel all the previous generations that did not behave according to the way that their skewed chokhmah, intelligence, claims that we need to behave. Same thing is here. What are you going to do when a few years from now, sophisticated people will come up with the understanding that everything that not you personally, the sophisticated people did was totally skewed, from saying that it's okay for women to have abortions, and now they have there's a new thing. It's euthanasia. People that I remember that my sister actually shared something with me, a story about a family that where the father was, a very sick person, very ill man, and they went to Switzerland because he was fed up. He decided, why suffer, whatever it is. They went to Switzerland, and they underwent assisted euthanasia. And the family were together, and they were all interviewed and saying how calm they all are now and how happy they all are. The fact that he's not suffering anymore and whatever it is. How do you know he's not suffering anymore? But forget about that. So somebody said, why don't we have these things here in Israel? I said, what do you mean you don't have these things in Israel? Take a whole bottle of sleeping pills and you have the same thing here. What's the big deal? They travel to Switzerland for what? It's not for people to convince you. I mean, what would you have done if Chas v'Chalila, that person would have committed suicide? Because it's too much for him. He can't take it anymore. Family be broken. What happened to us? Then he suffered. Whatever. What did they pay the tickets to Switzerland for? For the Swiss to drum into their minds that is really okay, and it's humane, and it's a good idea, whatever it is, you have to be sorry about. It's great, and it's a happier place now, blah, blah, blah. The great hunting ground in the sky of, I mean, what do you mean you don't have it here? You have it here. It's only convince you to put in your head, chas v'chalila, this idiotic notion that it's great, and now you're happy, and now what are you talking about? And that long, I wish we had it here. What you wish that you had here, somebody who could convince you that's the right thing to do. That's that. Hashem yirachem. B'kitzur, Hashem should save us from all illness and from all these sick days. So the intelligent, desperately need simple, plain, straightforward sanity. Pashut. Treat yourself right, treat your health right, treat your ruchnius right. Worry about what you need to worry about. Don't worry about what you don't need to worry about, and just go on. As we'll notice, as we'll see as the story evolves, the thing that typifies the intelligent son later on is the fact that he is all the time, he's busy all the time with how everybody else is mistaken and how foolish everybody else is. He's busy with everybody's lies. You have not know what to do in life. That's it. In fact, every hour, they stop and here's the news. And that's to tell you that what everybody in the world is doing wrong. This is what they have every single hour. And in between every half an hour, there's news flash. In other words, let me tell you something. In another half an hour, I'm going to tell you how silly everybody else is and what liars they all are. Great. You have nothing else what to do in life? Apparently not. So when the emunah is there, when the house is there, when the real sechel, the chokhmah is there, the intelligent love the simple. It realizes its true worth and what it gives him. On the other hand, the simple also needs, the intelligent. Obviously, when you know what's right and what's wrong, you just follow it. You don't have to think too much about this. But sometimes you don't know. You don't know what the right answer is. You don't know which way to go. You need the intelligence. You can go and find an answer. So when they're both in the same school, they're both in the same conduct, in enough houses, they love each other. So now the story starts, as usual, we're going into, Olam Atikun, and it says, in time, the two homeowners begin to decline. They fell down lower and lower until they lost everything and became paupers. Nothing of theirs remained except for their houses. Here we're seeing how, until now, everything is cool. I think everything is okay. You have Adam and Chava in Gan Eden. You have the person, the way he starts life, sophistication and simplicity live together. There's emunah, everything is okay. Now, since the whole idea is to extract the holy sparks from reality, so there has to come the end of innocence, as it were. Now it's time to get down and work. So they said, so first of all, the chokhmah is dimmed. That clarity that is nothing but a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and the main thing is emunah, and you have a house that you can live in, is lost. Except for the house, emunah still remains. Everything else, your hasagas, your yeshavadas, your eitzes, whatever it is, suddenly it gets lost. What do you do now? It says, as the sons began to reach maturity, the fathers told their sons, we no longer have the means to pay for you and support you. Do for yourselves what you need to do. Now, this is a very important little paragraph, because the directives of the fathers to their sons, as we says, that Av is Bereshis and son is Bara. That the father, the Av, is Eden Ilah, and the son is Eden Tata. That the father is B'chinas before the world. As the Chokhmah that is always Nistar. The son is the Zer Anpin, which is already revealed. The Zer Anpin is where action takes place. They tell him, listen, now you have to support yourself. You have to take care of yourself. And what they tell them is do for yourself what you need to do. In other words, they tell them what you need to do now is do. This is time for doing. Don't loaf around, don't wonder about what it is and how it is and figure it out and things out and make sure that you're smack, on the bullseye, whatever it is. First of all, you need to do. When you get yourself into a situation that you're not certain at all about what it is that you need to do and how you need to do it, first of all, you do. And this is how the story goes. The simple one went and learned how to be shoemaker. The clever one, since he was intelligent, didn't want to do such simple work. He decided to go into the world and see what there is to do. And he went and wandered around in the marketplace. And he saw a large wagon with 4 horses and harnesses moving quickly. And he asked the merchants, "From where are you?" They said, "From Warsaw." "Where are you going?" "To Warsaw." "Perhaps you need help." So he's intelligent, enthusiastic. So they consented, took him with them, to travel with them, and served him very, very well on the road. Let's talk a little bit about what each one of them found to be the answer to the fact that his parents can no longer support them. The seichel can no longer support them. They already don't have the illumination. What do they do so far to do now? So we started that av b'chochma, as we said, the fathers are the chochma of a person. We're not talking about craftiness or wit. That's something that the person is born with, his IQ. That's something a person is born with. We're talking about moichin de gadlus, that really gives you satisfaction that you're doing what you need to do and so forth. Sometimes, as we said, it doesn't shine. Now we said, the fathers lost their, whatever it is, lost their possessions. Means that the chacham and the tam, the clever one and the simple one, they fell from the moichin. It didn't shine anymore. They couldn't hold themselves. When things are shining, when there is shining, when you get a lot of chayim, you get tremendous chayim. You don't need anything in order to hold yourself. But when the mind dims, you're losing the ruach chayim, the kedusha. So now you need eitzes. Now you need something, to give you parnasa, to keep you alive, to keep you floating. How to hold yourself in a voice Hashem. The father said to the son, go ahead and look for your own parnasa around the household of their fathers. In other words, with the tradition of their holy emunah. And it says, "Asu lachem ma she'ta'asu." That's the original language. Do whatever that you should do. In other words, the way that you were taught. Hold on. If the light of the chokhmah doesn't shine to you now, it's okay. Just do whatever it is that you were taught. When things were, were shining, when things were clear. Now the tam, he understood what his father told him very simply. He said the main thing is to do what he can do. So the tam went and learned how to be a shoemaker. Now, to be a shoemaker, being a shoemaker is a very simple malacha. Very simple profession. Why did he want to be a guard? School guard, like sitting by the butke before everybody comes in, the children going in and out, or a gardener, or a malav and a cheder. Why dafka shoemaker? Because the tam doesn't have the chokhmah to get involved with trying to figure things out, to do this or to do that, or maybe I should do this, or maybe I should do that. He just understands that he needs to begin to do something. Whatever it is, even if it's a small thing. So he can keep his equilibrium, so he can stand on his feet. And also he understands that you cannot do today in order to get your payment tomorrow. And in the meantime, borrow money, whatever. You have to start working today. So you can have food today, you can live today. Be mechayas of whatever it is you can. And with this, after a while, you can get back to simcha, to the sweetness that you once had when your father, when you had Mocheh the Gadlus, was wealthy. The beginning is you have to step ahead. To take a step, you need a shoe. This is the reason why he took, like euphemistically, the profession of being a shoemaker. It's an immediate malacha. You don't have to borrow a lot of money in order to buy a lot of schara. What you need a couple of feet of leather, and maybe 10 feet of yarn, and bada bing, bada boom. That's it. You can start working. You don't need a helper. You don't need a partner. You have to have ASIC with other people. You're just sitting there to make a mistake, just making one shoe after the other. That's it. And every shoe that he would make, and he will mechayim himself tremendously. And finish another shoe and another shoe. Everything because he listened to his father's advice and do what he said. So he had a great connection to the house of his father. And with this, as we'll notice, his house actually, stood and did not fall down, did not, get ruined, because he took care of it. He had menucha, he had chayas, he had simcha, like the rich people. When rich people, those that have moich in the gadlus. Even though he wasn't rich at all, he didn't have any moich at all, which is a simple person. As Rabbeinu says later on, that the Tam guarded, and safekept the house of his father. What does it mean? It means that he found himself a way to hold himself in Avodas Hashem. How do you do this? The answer is Avodas Atfil. We will see a little bit, later on that he was not very proficient in doing what he needed to do, in shoemaking. He said, they would make a shoe, and the shoe had three, it was a triangle. This is a euphemism for Avodas Atfil of 3 tefillos a day. And the fact that it was awkward looking, it means that tefillah was, without proper kavanah. Go ahead and you daven, and you don't feel the words, and maybe you just mumble the words, and sometimes you mechavan a little bit, and most of the time not, and just keep on going. And maybe people are, those that are really into it, people outside you or within you or whatever are making fun of your tefillah, you can't even daven, whatever it is. And he held it tmimas pshitas daven the way he could. And this is the secret of making it. We would all be that way if not for the Yetzer Hara of being an intellectual, of figuring things out. That's what we said, that the chacham, the sophisticated, the clever one, that he was smart, he was quick on his feet. He didn't want to deal with such a simple parnasa where I'm going to be a shoemaker. He decided he's going to travel the world. Trying to see what to do. But Anas used to say that every single detail that is mentioned by the Chacham, by the smart one, the clever one, even though it looks on the surface as a mala, it's like it's an advantage. Rabbeinu mentions it only so we will stay away from it. Like we found out, we will see that the Chacham, that he reflected on it, he decided to go into the world, which means Yishuv Daita. This is the original language. Is he reflected, he saw it, he looked and said, what should he do? So Yishuv Adas is a very, very good thing. You shouldn't rush into things. You should think about what you need to do and how you need to do it, and so on and so on. And we see that the sophisticate, the smart one, every time he used to be Yashin himself what to do. Supposedly, Yishuv Adas is a good thing. But the truth is that by the sophisticate, by the Chacham, it was not a real Yishuv Adas. Yishuv Adas Hamit, the true Yishuv Adas for a person in this world, is to think, what does the Kodesh Baruch Hu want from me? This is a true Yishuv Adas. But that sophisticated, that clever one, his entire machshava was steeped in sophistication, in intelligence, in smartness. He was totally steeped into, how am I going to succeed? His Yishuv Adas, quote unquote, was, what's good for me now? What was going to work for me? What's not going to work for me? That's not the Yishuv Adas. That's the opposite of the Yishuv Adas. The only Yishuv Adas is, what does the Kodesh Baruch Hu want from me? No, what's better for me? What's worse for me? What's going to work for me? So I didn't know what's going to work for me. Things that work for you right now can prove after a while to be exactly the opposite. Even if they work out, after a while you see that the price you have to pay for it is way beyond what's not kedai. And not only this brings a person to a total confusion. He's running from one thing to the next. We'll see in the story continues, that the Chacham, that sophisticate, ran from one the malacha to another. He went from one success to another. That's not enough. Always from one job to another job, from one Chacham to another Chacham. This is the opposite of Yishuv Adas. The main Yishuv Adas should have a place for you to stay. Just have a kvias. And the Chacham said, let him just go check out. Let's see what to do. And again, you look at it and sounds like it makes a lot of them. The Chacham is right. The Chacham is right. It's not befitting to somebody who's so smart and talented as he is to be a shoemaker. But his concern is that because since he didn't find anything that was befitting for him, he didn't do anything. It's one of the most important, probably, things that we as people have to be aware of. When we want to do something, when we are aware that there is an overwhelming need to accomplish something, it can be, you need food in the house, you need to pay the rent or to pay the mortgage or whatever it is. You have to take care of, you have to pick up a child from school or take care of a spouse or whatever you need to do. The main thing is just to get up and do. If you notice, Am Yisrael and Mitzrayim, when they came off Mitzrayim, as long as they kept on moving, everything was okay. They came out of Yam Suf, and when they came to Mara, and the water were bitter, then they started whining. As long as they were walking, as long as they were moving, they were not complaining. The minute you stop and you lean back and you're saying, that doesn't befit me. That's not the kind of pronouncement that this befits to me. You know, so lo matim li. Katan alay. Come on. So what do you do? The Chacham leans back. He leans back. He doesn't do anything. The minute that you choose not to do anything, the simple thing which is before you, it confuses you. It starts you whining. It starts confusing you and sends you to a lot of different directions. It's an extremely important nakuda. Let alone that many, many times it's just an excuse. All this configuration and thinking and reflecting and whatever it is are a cover-up to the fact that you don't really want to do anything. You know, you want things being done for you. You want things to be taken care of for you. You don't want to do. But nevertheless, reflection is very important. But when you're reflecting, what you need to reflect is, am I doing what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do or not? And if not, okay, now you need to reflect. You need to Yishuv Adas. You need to make Hizbaidus. You need to talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu. You need to figure out, what am I doing wrong? What's in my heart leading me astray? Why do I keep on running as if my tail is on fire and I never find a menuchas hanefesh? It can actually be, listen to this, it can actually be that a lack of menuchas hanefesh is your menuchas hanefesh. Could be. Some people need to run all over the globe. I used to know a guy. I mean, I didn't know him personally, but I mean, I did a job for him through a graphic designer that I worked with. And this man, a frum man, used to produce, used to be a go-between very large retail chains and factories in China. And what he had, basically, he had this attaché case, and he would get on a plane and he would go to China. And now, don't get me wrong, with this Shmuel, whatever his name, last name is, I mean, he used to go from America to China and travel back and forth. And I mean, he would produce stuff for Walmart. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he got things done. And all this kind of an idea, he had this idea, you know, let's say that there's a very big French retail chain called Galeries Lafayette. I don't know if you know about it. And yeah, it could be Harrods in England, could be Macy's in America, Walmart, whatever. Okay. Now the thing is that let's say that you have Apple phones, all right, or Apple computers. Now, Apple computers or Apple products or whatever, they have there's a brand name and it has a price. Right? Let's say you have another radio or whatever it is with a company called Panasonic. You well know the company Panasonic, all right? Then you have a radio or an alarm clock or whatever it is that you have, and the name is Transonic, all right? The difference between Panasonic and Transonic is that Panasonic is a name and Transonic is a play on Panasonic, which means it's a product that it's a no-name product. It sort of like sounds like Panasonic, and it's a very low quality, knockoff or whatever. And it's priced commensurately. If you want a Panasonic, you pay $100. And if you want a Transonic, something that stops working after the third time you use it, you pay $5. All right. Now, the thing is that you need to sell a lot of the Transonics in order to make money. The thing is that instead of selling the Panasonic, if you sell it for $100, but there's a lot of competition and it costs you about $90. So there's not a lot of profit in this either. So this Reb Shmuel that they used to go running from China to America and back and forth all the time. He came to these retail chains and told, listen, why don't you make a Walmart brand, okay? Or a Macy's brand or Galerie Lafayette brand, whatever it is, it's your home brand. Like Radio Shack, as used to have, I don't know if it still exists even, but they made their own, Radio Shack brand. What it is, it's the quality which is almost like Panasonic or Apple or whatever, but it's not a brand name, which means it's your own brand name, and the quality, could be very good. And more importantly than anything, it costs you relatively little money, and you can make a nice profit on it. Okay. So that was his job. That was his work. He would go with his briefcase and he would go, from one retail place to another, and he'd go to America and he'd go to China and come back and forth. His life was not a life. But that was his life. In other words, you don't necessarily have to sit in one particular place and not move in order to have a Yeshiva Das. His Yeshiva Das was that he's on the run all the time. It's okay. Why? Because he had a mode of doing things. This is what he was doing. This is the thing. Some people, he needs to be on the run. This is Yeshiva Das. Each and every one of us is made differently. But he was focused. This is what I do. He would go to the retailer and say, what kind of brand, what kind of quality do you want? I can get whatever quality you want. I can get you something that's going to stop working on the second use, or something which is just as good as the biggest brand names there are. And these are the prices. You choose what it is that you want, and I will get it manufactured for you. And that's what he did. So you can see that even though when you take a look and it says that's the kind of life you have, you better sit in your house and just do whatever. But he couldn't. It's not that he couldn't physically. It's not that he couldn't emotionally. He needed to be on the run. Okay. But it came out of Yeshiva Das. It didn't come out of the fact that he kept on looking for something better over the other side of the hill. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. No. In his own way, he was a shoemaker. The fact that he had to travel, 12, 13 hours, 14 hours per flight, to Hong Kong, and to this, and to that, and, within China, weiß nicht what he had to go through. That's the thing that made him feel that, okay, he has his equilibrium, because he had his point of Yeshiva Das. The important thing over here is that you need to understand that the way it looks does not indicate whether you're going between us or not. If you jump from one thing to the next, if you say, no, maybe this, maybe I'll make more here, maybe I'll do more here, maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do that, you can sit in your own house and not move out of your chair, and you're just as wild as the sophisticate. Or you can be traveling, you can be globetrotting, and be as tmimizik as the Tam. Because you have one particular nekudah, and your yishub is that, listen, this is who I am. This is how things work for me. They work for me, they work for my wife, they work for my family. Kacha zoved. And you need to not deceive yourself about it. You need to not think that unless you traveled, you won't be able to make parnos. No. Parnos has nothing to do with that. Pick yourself something, stick with it. And even with this, sometimes some people, they try this, and then they try that, and then they go this, and they go to that. And it's still a bechina of tmimus. Why? Because I have something within me that burns, that I can't stay in one place for too long. It's not because I think that tzlacha would be at something else. It's not because, this doesn't work, so I'll do something else, or this doesn't work, I'll do something else. It doesn't come from that. It comes from a yishuv that says, listen, I cannot do one thing all the time. For whatever reason. I have my own emotional reasons that force me, that push me to behave a certain way. It's very easy for somebody who does not, quote unquote, suffer from my own particular state of mind to go and pontificate to me, listen, don't go, don't travel, don't this, don't change, don't keep on chasing ghosts from one thing to the next, and one thing to the next. If you're chasing from one thing to the next because you think that the other thing will work for you and this one will not work for you, then you're being chochmastic. Where Kodesh Baruch Hu cannot give you parnos or whatever. Adrabah, V'atz Hashem, He tamod. And Rabbi Chaim Rojan used to say, V'atz Hashem, He samod. And the Atzas Hashem, the Eitz HaKadosh Baruch Hu is stay. But you have to understand, the stay, what is the stay talking about? The stay doesn't talk about whether you travel or you don't travel, or whether you move from one thing to the next or not. That's not the thing that determines whether it's mimasdik or chochmas. The thing that determines whether it's chochmas or tmimis is, why are you moving from one thing to the next? If you're moving from one thing, it's because the pot of gold is on the other side of the rainbow, then you're being chacham, then you're just confusing yourself for nothing. But if you're doing a bit, with Yeshiva Das, with this way, you realize if I stay in one place, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go crazy. I will last a month, 2, 3, and that's it. And I'll go bananas. I need to keep on moving. It's not because the moving is going to give me the parnasim. It's because otherwise I go crazy. This is who I am. It's a very delicate nakuda. When, it's not what you do, but what is the reason behind what you do? And b'chavana, trying to stay on this particular nakuda was extremely important. It's very easy to pass judgment and to say, I know one person that keeps on going from one job to the next. And in every job that he's looking for and he gets, he goes through tremendous trials and tribulations of, am I getting enough money? Am I getting enough prestige and whatever it is? And lo and behold, none of the jobs actually last long enough. And I didn't say anything to the person because many times, saying what you can see, actually at any time saying to somebody what you can see does not help them. They need to see it. They have to arrive to it on their own. But it's pretty plain that he is finding himself jobs that he could lose. Whether he's convinced that he's not good enough. So to begin with, he's cooking himself, subconsciously already cooking himself a job that is going to explode, that he's going to let those who hire him down or whatever, or if they don't, if he doesn't let them down, then he becomes impatient with them. They're not, it's just like, they're not treating me right, whatever it is. He's doing what he's doing in order to fail. In on itself, it's also not the end of the world. That's what you can do. It's when you get frustrated and you start blaming the entire world and his uncle for that. That is when it becomes a problem. Because the important thing is to remember, you are who you are. Warts and all. And the fact that you are who you are with the warts and with the good stuff is precision made recipe by HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the life that you have to live in this world. As you will see, the biggest milah of the Tam is that he's happy within his limitations. And the biggest misfortune of the sophisticate is that nothing is good enough for him. And it all starts and ends with who I am and the way I am. The main thing I need to come to terms with and become happy about is who I am, the way I am. Because I am the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu made me. And that's just, it's not arbitrary. I have things to fix. I have a special nefesh, a special ruach, special neshama, each put together, in this particular body, given these tools, that intelligence, these talents, that temper, that nature, that state of health, that looks, in order to fix what it is that I need to fix in this incarnation. The first job before anything else is you come to terms that this, the way that you are, you, in fact, are the most wonderful thing you could ever wish for. Come on. Somebody else is so much more talented. He's so much smarter. He's so much more driven. And he can wake up early in the morning. He can wake up chatzos, and he can daven basikin, and he can put all his koyach in the tefillah, and is an unbelievable learner, and a tzaddik. Yeah, but look at me. What is it to look at you? You are perfect for what you need to do. You can only get this kind of shiva das when you connect yourself to the tzaddikim. Because if you're not connected to the tzaddik emes, really, you're not able to get this kind of shiva das. You won't. You just won't. You'll be able to make all the right noises, to say the right things. You'll be able to walk the walk, but you'll never, to talk the talk, but you'll never be able to walk the walk. It's a very, very important subject, and really, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to say about this. But, that is our shir for tonight. And B'ezrat Hashem will continue with the escapades of the Sophisticate, Mr. Hashem, next Monday, B'ezrat Hashem, and find out things that we should stay away from. B'ezrat Hashem, the next meeting is Wednesday night, Yikut Maran, Terech Av Beis, Mitzvah Hashem. And then there's Thursday. Thursday night is in the breast of the Medrash. There is also a Zoom connection that you can get in. I'm not sure if you can get, I think you can get more than one person at a time. I'm not exactly sure how it was. But you can try to come in. Maybe there's one person comes in, more. I really don't know. We have to test it out. And so I want to wish each and every one of you Chanukah. And remember, the thing that we actually celebrate in Chanukah are the milchamas, or the wars. If they keep on keeping on.